Welcome into the Landon Tengwall Show, sponsored by Bobby Rayal Honda of State College. You need anything, car, fix, whatever, tell them Landon sent you. They will take care of you. This is my weekly Monday James Franklin press conference rundown. Give you guys everything you need to know in a short period of time, because those press conferences that he does are a little too long. Towards the beginning, Franklin mentioned last year's national champions, Ohio State, and said, hey, they lost 2 Big Ten games, kind of soft launching, the fact we lost to Oregon, we might lose to Ohio State, and said, hey, they still went on to find a way to win. For me, and I talked about this yesterday in my postgame show, I think that's different. That Ohio State team had won many of things. That coach, Ryan Day, players on that team had already won big games. And if you're Penn State, you haven't. You truly have not won a big game since, like I said, 2016. You can throw different ones in there, whatever, a Michigan in 2019. You can say Boise State or SMU, but Chris Buchanani put it best. He's like, you walk in and you're talking to Alabama fan, a Georgia fan, Ohio State fan, and they're talking about their best wins, and you throw SMU or Boise State out there, you get laughed at. It's just not the same. We can try to sugarcoat it and make it sound better. Penn State has not won a big game in a long, long time. So I get the sentiment of what he's saying. I understand that, and that is how you need to, that's the message you need to relay to the players. I am a journalist that just gives my, somewhat educated opinion, so that's what I'm saying. But that is the message that needs to go to the players. You have to stay positive, and you have to understand that, hey, everything is still in front of you. Yes, you're still ranked 7th in the AP poll. It is all there for the taking at this point, but just doesn't feel the same as Ohio State, in my opinion. James Franklin also mentioned that Jim Knowles spoke to the defense, and he does plan to have him speak to the entire team about being on that Ohio State roster, what that was like, how did everybody deal with all that pressure. We remember Ryan Day said he had to get security for his family to get out of the house back and forth. So I think that's a good message, and it's someone that lived through that, so it's good to have that there, to have that perspective, but doesn't make it any easier. Franklin was then asked about the identity of this Penn State offense. Started out by saying everything on the offense is inconsistent, says he sees great flashes, but overall run game, passing game, pass protection, all of it very inconsistent. Then he went on to get asked about the inconsistency of the run game, and basically saying that everybody came into this year saying, yeah, you get new wide receivers and you got Drew Rattler, but we all know what this identity is of the offense and what the identity was in the playoffs. It was you run the ball and you dominate up front. And clearly that has not happened. Penn State's offensive line has been not very good, and they were manhandled by Oregon's front 7. So you look at that and you say, okay, how do you count on that? How does that continue to be your identity? And James Franklin basically admitted, yes, sometimes you have to kind of change your identity from what you thought it would be. So that leads then to the question that most people ask, can you change? Can you just change your offensive identity of what you do and, go spread offense and treat everything like a 2-minute drill, essentially? In short, probably not. Because then later on, Franklin was asked about being able to make changes in season and how it's harder to, get the run game going or change things in the passing schemes. And he kind of not pushed it to the side, but he basically said, yeah, momentum and big time plays can do that. So what I took from that was him basically saying, no, we're not going to change anything schematically. And I told you guys, an offensive coordinator going into week 6 is not going to change his scheme. The same plays are going to be called. As I said before, you might see new little wrinkles, but it's still going to be the same offense. It's not just going to change. So everything that he said, it leads me to believe there is not going to be an identity change on this Penn State offense. James Franklin just believes that execution needs to be much better, which is absolutely true. I still don't like where we are at with the play calls. I still don't like all of the wildcat. I hate punting on the 36-yard line of your opponent. I hate under 5 minutes left in the game. It's 2nd and 7. Crucial. You're in there, part of the field, and you run wildcat and you get a false start. There's just a lot of things I don't like. 3rd and 9, running quarterback power option on 3rd and 9 when you were also on their side of the field, which then led to the punt from the 36-yard line. All of that, that goes back to execution, but you got to question the actual play calling itself. You're not putting your guys in great situations to win. Now, talking about the run game specifically, Franklin said that he did feel that Nick Singleton is playing consistently. Now, to kind of, I think he knew everybody was going to kind of raise eyebrows at that one. He said that, hey, usually there is 1 to 2 runs where he can rip off a big explosive, and he said it kind of changes the narrative of how you look at a running back when they do that. And he didn't say this, but alluded to the fact that, hey, those holes are currently not there for Nick Singleton. That's true that the holes are not there, yes, but it's also untrue that he has been playing consistently. I'm sorry, I don't agree with that. I think he's been a very good blocker, but through these first 4 games, he has missed many holes. He has been indecisive. I mean, you can't tell me, and look, Kaytron Allen has been tackled for many losses and all that too, but you can't tell me that Kaytron Allen is just magically finding the holes that, they're just popping up for Kaytron Allen. They're not popping up for Nick Singleton. Kaytron Allen is a better running back where we stand right now, and that's why I'm kind of dumbfounded that you have 1.8 yards per carry at halftime, and Kaytron Allen only has 4 carries. That's inexcusable. Allen overall was outsnapped by Nick Singleton. I love Nick, but 11 carries for 21 yards, that is never going to do it. And it doesn't seem like there's going to be a change made there and it's going to stay 50-50 with Allen and Singleton. I don't know how long you can do that. Once again, I love Nick. He was a fantastic teammate. When I was injured, we had a class together. He would always sit with me, check up on me. Like, I have so much love for this dude. But this is football. This is a business. This is worth hundreds of millions of dollars. We can't go off of relationships and being loyal to people. You got to do what is best for the squad. Kaytron Allen needs 2-to-1 carries in terms of Nick. I will continue to say that. Now, Tyler Donahue was asking about Drew's completion percentage. In the past 7 out of the last 8 games for Drew, I think this goes back to maybe a Big Ten championship, the only one where his completion percentage was over 60% was against Nevada. So Drew has really struggled at being consistently accurate, or his guys just not getting open. And Franklin said that they need to find easier throws, quick screens, play action boots, make it easier for Drew. I don't think that's true. I think that's already what we are trying to do. I think there's way too much actually quick game and screens and underneath stuff. I think you need to stress the defense. You need to try to pass it deep. You need to threaten them to where they do back off a little bit. You do not throw a deep pass until 50 minutes into a 60-minute game. I mean, what do you expect the defense to be able to do? They're going to be able to crowd the line of scrimmage and put hands on your wide receivers. And then, the underneath stuff starts to not work because that's what's happening. So it can't happen again. It's what we saw the first couple weeks, though. I told you guys that the offense was not just going to magically change. The same things that we saw against Oregon, especially those first 3.5 quarters, were the same things that we saw against Nevada and FIU and Villanova. It was just much better competition. For me, shout out Dennis Green. They are who we thought they were. That's what that is. You are what you put on tape. I've said that a million times, and you can say and hope that you want to get to a certain point, and that, they're going to do great versus Oregon, or they're going to do great against UCLA. I can only judge you off what you have put on tape, and they have not put good stuff on tape up to this point. Now, lastly, Franklin got into talking about making sure that this loss does not roll over. I was on the team in 2021. Very different expectations coming into the year. I think we were unranked when we went to Wisconsin. That was actually one of very few James Franklin underdog wins in his career here at Penn State, was 2021 at Wisconsin week 1. But ends up, Penn State's like 6-0. We're the number 4 team in the country. Iowa's the number 3 team in the country. We go there. We lose in a heartbreaker. We know Taquan Roberson. Everybody knows the story. It derailed us. Like I said, as much as this is a different expectation for this season versus that season, we still had a great team, and then we just lost it. We lost then, obviously 9 overtime to Illinois, lost to Ohio State, lost to Michigan, you lose to Michigan State, and it just completely went flat for us. You cannot allow that to happen. You're going to UCLA this week. I don't think you can possibly lose that game. They just fired their head coach. They got guys that are going to do a mass transfer portal exodus. That's all going to happen. But you do not go out there and get smacked in the mouth. That's the number one thing you cannot allow to happen. I don't think it's physically possible to lose that game, but don't go out there and win 17-10, because then that really starts it in emotion. And then, you do get Northwestern at home, but then you go to Iowa, you get a bye week, Ohio State. Like, you cannot let this start to roll over into each other. That locker room cannot be negative. You got to keep it positive. All right. Appreciate you guys tuning in. We have tonight, live call-in show, 7:30 p.m. Please come in, questions, air your grievances, whatever you need. I love you guys. I'm here for you. I appreciate you. Like, comment, subscribe. Peace.